Leetcode 67, add binary to Leetcode easy. Let's get started. Given two binary strings, A and B, return their sum as a binary string. Okay, so let's look at some examples. I need to like jog my memory on what this actually looks like. And I have PDAC too. Okay, so look at these examples. So we got two strings that are representing binary numbers, I guess, like the string representation of a binary number, and we need to add them. So let's just grab these. If we like look at them over here, it's gonna put them like this. Okay, so it's like, and it counts from the right side, I believe. So it's like significant digits are like increasing from right to left or decreasing from left to right. So that's why, okay, so for this one, thinking about these, the 1 plus the 1, so yeah, those two, that essentially sums to, like, we'll just have like some value here. This would be 0, 1, but then we want to add the 1 there to the 1 in this call, or in this position in the other string. So okay, so I think we need to like traverse. Well, let's not think about too much about implementation yet. So as we are summing them, these two, the 1 and the 1 sum to 1, 0, so it's like 2, and then this plus this. So if we add, if we add these two, then this becomes 1, 0, and that's how we get to this. Okay, so we're like moving from the left side, and okay, and they're, for this example, they're of different lengths, which I think is totally, like, we need to write a solution that works with different lengthed binary strings. Let's walk through another example. Okay, so just comment that out. Okay, I'm gonna look at this example here. All right, so get them on the same line. Okay, so yeah, all right, so and we're looking at these starting on the far right side of both of the strings. We just want to compare, or we want to add, we want to get the sum of these two. And so 0 plus 1 is just 1. So that's what that column sums to. And for this column, and there's no like we're not, yeah, okay. So in the next column, 1 plus 1 is 2, so 1, 0. So this column sums to 2. Okay. So then this, I feel like there's probably an easier way to do it than the way I was thinking, but okay, let's keep going. So then we need to sum this column, and that is just 1. So then we go to the next column, we sum that, and that's just 2. Okay. And we should arrive at the number. Did we? 1, 0, 1, 0, 1. Okay, yeah, we did. So trying to think of a way to do this. I guess I want to know, how do I do this? What makes the most sense? Because we obviously want to start on the far right, the right side of our binary strings, because it works up with significant digits as we move to the left from right. And that's like the direction of the operations as we sum the columns. So, and I guess when I say columns, I just like literally mean like at that specific index. So this is like, say, index 0, 1, 2, 3. So like column 3 sums to 1. Then this column sums to 2. Okay, and then this column sums to 1. And this column sums to 2. So we got that. Okay. So how do we do this? What makes the most sense? Let's look at some of the constraints too. Okay, so the lengths of both of them are less than or equal to 1. I'm sorry, greater than or equal to 1 and less than or equal to 10 to the 4th. AB consists only of 0 and 1 characters, okay? So that's, we don't have to worry about like validating the input type. Okay. All right, and then the other one, each string does not contain leading zeros except the 0 itself. Okay. So this line immediately is like, I can deal with that pretty easily with like a guard clause. Because like if one of the strings is just 0 and it has a length of 1, then the sum of 0 plus anything is just whatever the other value that we're summing with is. So that's fairly easy to deal with early on. Okay, so let's write out some of the requirements here. Okay, so our input is always 2 strings, 2 binary strings. It's not really, it's strings which represent binary numbers. Okay, and our output is just the sum of A and B. Okay. Okay, let's think about this. So, I have some more input information. Strings are of length 1 or greater, and no string has a leading 0 except with the with the exception of 0 itself. So just like this. That's the only situation where there's a leading 0. So leading being like 0 is the first character in the string. So it couldn't be something like this. Or sorry, 0. This wouldn't be like we don't have to be worried about something like this. Okay. So that deals with like a situation where we have octal numbers, but of course it's not going to happen because they say the characters are only 0 and 1, and yeah, there are no strings with the leading 0 except for 0 itself. All right. So we've got a relatively good understanding of what we need to do. We're kind of thinking more about how at this point. Okay, let's grab these test cases. Okay. How to go about doing this? So if they're the same length, that's really pretty easy. If they're different lengths, because if they're just the same length, then we just need to basically just add the column values, and just have some like intermediary if they sum to 2 or not. Okay. I'm just thinking. So I think as soon as we get to a situation where we have exhausted the length of one of the string or the binary strings, then we just would need to, like, once we, like, say we're here. So for this example, we're looking at these two, and then the next time we're looking at these two. So these two sum to 2. So that's where we were at with 1, 0. Okay, and then now that we're at this index, so index 0 in string A, I think maybe we just need to traverse the longer string. I think we need to traverse the longer string's length, and then have some condition where if the length, or if this doesn't have some index, or if it's like outside the bounds. Yeah, okay. So let's think about how we would do that. If I were to reverse, I think I should force myself to do it in the way in working backwards, as opposed to just like always going from the front, because like you could theoretically just like reverse these strings and then just move from left to right and then reverse the resulting string. But does that make sense to do? Okay, let's just think. I guess you have to remember this is also going to be a string. Okay, so I think I want to traverse the length of the longer string from the last, or from the end of that string, and yeah. So I guess if we get to the 0th index, or the the element at index 0 in some string, and there's still another value in the other string, then we would just simply, I guess, sum these characters. I guess we would probably have already done that, sum those two values, and then just move on to this one and just append whatever is left in that string to the result, I think. This is a little tricky. I might just be overthinking it, or like having a bit of a brain fart. Let's think about this. So I'm not really thinking of like an intermediate data structure that would help us in this problem. Yeah, I think this is like a problem where we're just going to be dealing with strings. So basically, if I were to try to summarize this, just to see if I can sort of get myself moving on this problem, we basically want to get the sum of two binary strings. Two binary strings by traversing, or by adding the elements at the appropriate position to one another, or with one another. Okay. So, okay, so for like this one, let's go back to just kind of walking through it. So for the first position, just 1, and the second position is 1, 0, right? So maybe we want to, like, because we kind of do want to, I think, just like be adding this column, be adding all the elements in that particular column, except at the first situation. Yeah. Well, we could start with a string 0. So say we're like using some string, right? So let's say it's like this. Um, just for now. We would essentially we would sum the values in that specific position. So the last element in the string. And then once we do that, this becomes 1. And then we move to the next column. Maybe, I guess I'm thinking, do I need to, okay. So then the next thing would be, because I guess that only really matters if we're dealing with, does that make sense to do it that way? I'm not sure. Yeah, I think that'd be kind of silly to do it that way, because we actually want to be building up this string, right? So for here, that would then just be 1, 0. Yeah, that'd just be 1, 0. And then this whole thing. Okay, so I think instead of doing that, it would look like this. So this sums to 2. So then we would just add, we would maybe have like some other variable like to add, and that could just be, at this point, it could be 1. So then when we move to the next element in the string, moving from right to left, we would just add that value to the sum of the elements at that position. So then there'd just be 1. And then we move to the next one, this just is 0. And then to add is 1 again. And then I guess we just have to check to see if there's anything left in to add. If there is, then we just need to add that to the beginning of the string. So that gets us to where we want to be, but can we implement it? And can I think about the steps to get there? Okay, let's think about how we might do this. So maybe we need 2 pointers, and maybe so one pointer will be for string B and one will be for string A, and they'll both be starting at the end. So in this case, this would be, the pointer for B would be 0, and the pointer for A would be 1. So then I guess once both the pointers are 0, then we would stop decrementing that pointer, because then we would know that there's nothing to the left of this. There's nothing to the left of 0. At index 0, there's nothing to the left of that in a string. Okay. So how would I implement that? Let's think about it. So if I just declare pointers A point, B point, and we just said what they were going to be initialized to. And then we would maybe while A point is not equal to 0, or while A point is greater than or equal to 0, and or, well, yeah, I think or B point is greater than or equal to 0. So if either of them are not at this at index 0, then we want to do something, right? And what we want to do is compare the elements at the respective pointers in the respective strings. So maybe get A val and B val. Okay, and that's just going to be a point and B B point. Oh, goodness, my typing today. Okay, so it's gonna be the values of those respective indexes and the respective strings. Then we just want to sum a val with b val. Okay, and doing that, so I guess if they're both, or maybe we convert them to numbers, and then if it's less than 1, I think I need to declare result string. Okay. So convert to numbers. Okay. Now, so we'd convert them to numbers and then sum them. And then if the sum is equal to 2, then I need to declare another variable here, declare to add maybe, or to add next position, to add to next position. Okay, so that's like when we have like 1 plus 1 producing 2. So then the current element in the result string would be 0. So then we want to add the 1 to the next set of values if there are 2 values, and if they, yeah, okay, so that wasn't super clear. I think it'll be more clear when I actually try to express it with pseudocode. So if sum is equal to 2, then we basically have that situation. And so we would set, we would assign to add to next position to 1. And we then also need to append 0 to start of result string. Okay, so result, yeah, let's put them. Okay, these are all just variables, obviously. Okay, and then aval, bval, aval, bval. Okay, and then sum is also going to be a variable to add next position. Okay, so once we do that, then we would just want to go to the next element. So then else, so if sum is equal to, or actually if it's anything else than 2, then we can just append whatever the value of sum is as a string. So sum as string, or it's prepend rather, prepend sum as string to current value of result. So we're just adding it to the beginning of result. Okay. And we also need to remember, for each iteration, we need to, I guess, decrement. Okay, but so this is the tricky part where we need to deal with when we get to 0. So So this is basically if a point is equal to 0, then we don't want to add that, right? So if a point is equal to 0, we basically want to, we don't want to create a value. Well, like we could just add it to 0. Yeah. Okay, so we could actually just have a default value for aval. So then aval can just be 0. Yeah, it can just be 0. Or if b point is equal to 0, then bval could also be 0. Okay. And then if either, so if neither of those are true, then we just go forward. Oh wait, but it needs to be if it's maybe if it's less than 0, because yeah, if it's less than 0, then it would want to just be some filler value that doesn't have any value, which would be 0 here. Okay, so this is getting a little messy. Got about 4 minutes. I don't think I'm gonna make it in time for my goal, but that's all right. And I think these can be, we can sort this out when we actually are writing the code. So we need to sum them after converting them to numbers, and we need to not forget to decrement a point and b point by 1. Okay, and then we just want to, eventually once we're done, we want to return result string. Okay, so I should walk through this step by step. That would probably be good. But I also sort of want to just see if I can implement this solution and then walk through it with an example. Because I think once I start writing the code, I'll have a little bit better idea of where I might be going wrong. So I think that's what I'm going to try to do. Okay, so you can just go almost full screen. So we need to declare some variables. So declare pointers a point, b point. And that's going to be the starting index at the right-hand side. So it's just going to be the length minus 1. So a length minus 1, and let b point equal, or we'll initialize it to the value of b length minus 1. Then we also need result string. So start out at an empty string, and we need to add next position. Yeah, okay, so we let to add for now. Okay, and that's that can just start as 0. Okay, so while, okay, so we can just implement that. So while a point is greater than or equal to 0, or b point is greater than or equal to 0, we want to loop. Okay, so then so if it's 0, then it would just be 0, or that's 0. So how do we do this? So maybe just else these would be assigned to those values. Okay, yeah, I think that works. Else. Okay. So let's just implement that. So if a point is less than 0, then we want to assign a val to, okay, we haven't declared a val. Okay. So a val is assigned to 0. Okay, so that's assigned to 0. That might be a string, it might be a number. I haven't decided exactly. Else, if b point is less than 0, then b val is equal to 0, or is initialized to 0. Otherwise, we just need to get the element in the respective string at the respective index. And we're just about running out of time, so that's too bad, but we'll just keep powering through. Okay. And b val is equal to b point. Okay. have that. So now we need to sum those values after we convert them to numbers. So let's write that here. Okay. Okay, so we have them as numbers. So now we need to sum. So we'll declare sum here. And we need to reassign sum. So sum is equal to A plus B, or I'm sorry, A val plus B val. Okay. A val plus B val. All right, and then if that is equal to 2, so if sum is equal to 2, then we need to change the value of to add to next position. To 1. Okay. To add. And then we need to append 0 to the start of result. Okay, so then result is equal to 0 plus result. So we're just prepending it and then reassigning result to that new string after we've prepended 0 to result. Okay, and then we need to decrement a point. Okay. We also need to somehow zero out to add once we add. Okay, so that actually, so if, then this is just plus to add as, yeah, plus to add. Okay. And then as we go to the next, well, is it, no, that's, I feel like I'm missing a step here. Obviously, we need to decrement, so we can do that at the very end of the loop. So a point minus minus, b point minus minus. Okay. So how do we deal with this situation? I don't want to run it because I know it's going to fail right now because of, I believe, to add. So let's just see if we can walk through an example. Let's walk through the example we've been thinking about. Okay, let's grab these two. Okay, let's bring them down here. All right, so to add is initialized to 0. Result is empty string. A point is 3, and B point is also 3. Okay. And just for clarity. All right, so we're going to be here. And we should probably also get maybe our result string is just an empty string at the moment. So they're both greater than or equal to 0. So they're going to be, we're just going to evaluate this portion. So the values are going to be 0 and 1. So then we would sum those two values and add 0. Okay. And maybe this works. Let's just keep going. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. So then result. So sum is not equal to 2. So we just need to prepend sum to the string as a string to result. Okay, so else result sum plus result, and we'll just that. Okay, so reassigning result, and we're prepending sum because so sum is just 1 at this point. 1 is a string, so then it looks like this. Okay, So we move to the next. Again, then to add is still 0 here. So then, does this need to happen first? I think this makes sense to happen after. Yeah, okay, so then we decrement those two values. So now it's 2 and 2. Okay, we'll comment that out. 2 and 2 for those two respective values. So then we're looking at this position. So index 2, position 3. So we're looking, okay, 1 and 1. So then to add would be incremented, or it would be reassigned to 1. And then we would, okay, so then that is adding the 0. Okay. That looks good. So we're evaluating this portion, and then we're decrementing those values. So now it's 1 and 1. So we would move this one to the left, and we're looking here. So these plus 1 is just 1. And so then we would evaluate this portion of code. And so it would just be adding the 1 as a string to the beginning of result. Then we decrement. So now it's 0, 0. Okay. So then we move to this, for the position. Oh, yeah, so it's 0, 0. So we're still good for our loop condition. And neither of them are less than 0. Okay, and then, so we have those two values, 1 and 1. And we're going to get the sum. And to add at this point, it would have been, it needs to be reassigned to 0, right? I think it does. Yeah, I think here we need to reassign to add to 0. Yeah, I think that's where one thing I was missing. So then that would be 0. So then if we're looking at these two, this position, the values at this position, we would just add them. So 1 plus 1, 2 plus 0, still 2. So then sum is 2. So we change to add to 1. To add is now 1. And then we prepend to 0 to result. So now result looks like this. And then we're done with our loop because we've decremented these two values. So now it's -1, -1. So they're both of them are not. So this whole expression is evaluating falsy. Okay. So once we are out of our loop, we need to check to see if to add is greater than 0. Then we need to prepend a 1. I guess if to add is 0, that's a little more clear. Then we just need to add, we need to prepend that to result. So we can just do 1 plus result, effectively prepending, and then we want to return our result. All right, that was a little tedious. Let's hope that it pays off. Comment this stuff out and give it a whirl. That's frustrating. Oh, we're so close. So we're getting 0, 0. What is the value of to add at this stage? Value's 1. So why would it not be? Oh, okay. I think I just made a little mistake here. Yeah, I didn't change the value when I changed the comparison, the equality operator, from greater than 0. So we're expecting to see this pass. Okay, let's not get our hopes up. Let's see if we did all right with the other test cases. Shoot, okay. Huh. Why? Okay, that's weird. Dang. Well, this was a fail. We didn't make it very far. We got to a solution, but it doesn't work. And I'm really curious why that would be the case. I guess, okay, I mean, I guess this might just be a longer video. Because I do want to solve this. I do want to figure it out. So if we were to look at these strings. Okay. So the initial value is just 3 for each of those. And result is just an empty string. I'm wondering where it's going wacky. Why would it ever be 3? Maybe I just, maybe I like, no, I feel like my understanding of this problem was decent. I'm wondering, is there something weird with like zeros and like number? I'm gonna take a look. Yeah, let's go. Shouldn't be nothing weird there. What about? Yeah, okay. I was wondering if there was something weird with comparison because I don't see how it could be. Yeah, huh. Okay, what? How do I want to debug this? Well, maybe I'll post a solution at the end. I want to see how long. It's 42 minutes. Okay, so we're over our limit by a fair amount. So I'm just gonna call it. But yeah, this is an example of me trying to solve a problem and not succeeding in my given time limit. But yeah, thanks for watching.